Hi guys, welcome back to Once Upon Anita. If you're new here, this is where I tell creepy stories, some true, some folklore, some that live somewhere in between. And for Halloween, I'm doing something special. 13 Nights of Fear. 13 stories and 13 nights, each one a little closer to home. Tonight's night 3, and this story is one of those quiet suburban nightmares that make you look twice at the house next door. It first appeared on Reddit, one of those true encounter threads where people post about things they can't explain. And what got me about this one wasn't the haunting or the ghost. It was how ordinary it started. A new neighbor, a wave, and a small act of kindness that never should have been possible. So dim the lights, grab your blanket, and let's get into it. Happened to this woman named Lydia. She had just bought a little two-bedroom home in a quiet cul-de-sac outside Columbus, Ohio. The kind of street that looks safe even at midnight. Neat lawns, porch lights, and the smell of barbecue on weekends. Everyone knew everyone, or at least they waved like they did. Across her driveway was a small brick house with paint peeling near the roofline. It had been empty for years. Still, though, every few weeks the grass was mysteriously cut. No cars, no mail, no signs of life, just a perfectly trimmed lawn. Then one Friday afternoon, in early spring, Lydia came home to see moving trucks parked outside. Boxes stacked on the porch, curtains drawn open for the first time, and through the front window she caught a glimpse of a man, tall, mid-40s, maybe, carrying a coat rack across the room. She smiled to herself. Finally, new neighbors. That evening, she baked cookies, still warm, still soft, and she decided to welcome them, because that's what people do in places where nothing bad ever seems to happen. She walked across the driveway and knocked. Waited. No answer. From inside, she heard a faint movement, the sound of a chair sliding, a door shutting softly. She knocked again. Still nothing. So she left the plate of cookies on the porch with a small note that read, "Welcome to the neighborhood. Lydia from next door." By morning, the plate was gone, but no one ever thanked her. Over the next few nights, Lydia noticed lights flickering on and off next door. Not the regular rhythm of someone settling in, more like hers. Random, uncertain. Sometimes the upstairs light would burn late in the night. Sometimes it wouldn't come on at all. Then, one night, around 2 a.m., she looked out her window and saw something. The upstairs light was on, faint, amber, almost candle-like, and in the window stood a silhouette, a man, perfectly still. He wasn't watching her, exactly, more like listening. Head tilted slightly, as if he's catching something only he could hear. She raised her hand and waved, and he stepped backwards into the darkness. First of all, why are you even waving at your neighbor at 2 o'clock in the morning? Why are you even up at 2 o'clock in the morning and you look out your window? That's odd. That's odd. The light stayed on another few minutes, then blinked out. She tried to laugh it off. Old houses do weird things with shadows, she told herself. And yet, she stopped looking out the window for a while after that. A few days later, Lydia began hearing noises, faint ones, coming from sheared walls, footsteps, a chair dragging slowly across the wood. Once, what sounded like cutlery clinking in the sink. But every morning, the house next door looked the same. Curtains closed, driveway empty, no trash bins at the curb. She told herself maybe someone worked nights or slept odd hours. Still, something about that didn't add up. One evening, as she was watching TV, she got a soft sound underneath the dialogue, a voice, low and rhythmic, like someone was talking through a vent. She muted the TV. The sound stopped. She unmuted. Background chatter again. Muted. Silence. Her skin prickled. She sat there for a full minute staring at the wall. Then she turned the volume back up and tried to ignore it. That night, when she turned out the light, the hum began. A low, vibrating note. Not loud enough to be threatening, just steady enough to make her heart beat faster. About a week-ish later, a knock came at her door. It was around 9 p.m. Lydia froze for a second before answering. When she opened the door, a man stood on her porch, mid-40s, pale, but familiar. Ah, the man from the window. He smiled faintly and said, "Sorry, I think some of my mail got delivered here." He handed her an envelope. It was already open. She blinked. "Oh, sure, no problem." She took it carefully. His sleeves brushed hers. It was cold. Damp, even. She looked past him. The air was dry, the pavement dusted with pollen. It hadn't rained in over a week. "You're in the house next door, right?" she asked. He nodded. been there a while. And then he turned, walked down the steps, and disappeared into the dark. No porch light next door, no sound of door closing. When Lydia looked down at the envelope, her stomach twisted. It was addressed to Dale Henderson. The next morning, the envelope was gone. The mailbox, too. Even the welcome mat. Like no one had ever even been there. I fear Lydia doesn't have any survival skills. Who am I to say anything? Anyways, continuing on, about days later, Lydia told her mail carrier about the strange encounter. The woman stopped mid-step. That house, she said. Nobody's lived there in years. It was condemned after a gas leak. A man died inside. The name came next, unprompted. Dale Henderson, of course. That night, Lydia went online. Public property records confirmed it. Owner, Dale Henderson. Date of death, April 2013. Cause, due to a gas leak. Found on the front porch, her breath caught. The porch where he'd stood, the same damp sleeve, the same quiet smile. She closed her laptop and stared at the dark window across the driveway. And as if in answer, a single light flickered on upstairs. The next night she was washing dishes and she heard it. 3 slow knocks. Not on her front door, but from the walls. She stepped closer, heart pounding. The knocks came again, slower. And then through the drywall, a faint voice. Thank you for the cookies. Every hair on her body rose. The kitchen light flickered, and through the window, the house across the driveway glowed with the same amber light. The silhouette stood there again, head tilted as if listening for her reply. She didn't wave this time. She just turned off her light, backed away from the window, and sat in the dark until morning. Why the dark? By sunrise, the house next door looked older somehow. Yard overgrown, paint grayer, like it had been that way for years. Finally, Lydia moved out 6 months later. She never reported it, never told anyone outside her family, but she said something strange always followed her. In her new place, sometimes the porch light flickered at 2 a.m. Sometimes she'd hear knocks that matched that same slow rhythm 3 times. And once, when she unpacked a box of dishes, there was an old envelope sitting at the bottom. No postage, just the name written in faded ink. Dale Henderson. Folklore called them residuals. Echoes of the living replaying the last routine like a scratched record. Not malice, not aware, just stuck. Maybe that's what Lydia experienced. A man caught forever in the same loop of kindness he received, or maybe the house itself remembered. Either way, she still leaves a porch light on wherever she lives. Old habits die hard, I guess. Because sometimes, when you think you're seeing a reflection of life next door, you're really looking at a memory. And that was night 3 of 13 Nights of Fear. Tell me below, do you think this was scary, or are you skeptic? And if you've ever had a story like this one happen to you, email me. I'd love to hear it. And maybe I will feature it in future episodes. Until tomorrow night, sleep well, stay safe, and keep the lights on. Bye!